All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today we are going to be talking about Ghosts of Antifa again. And you're probably asking yourself, well, what is there to talk about when it comes to Ghosts of Antifa? We've pretty much covered everything. Well, no, we have not, because apparently IGN delivers yet again. Ghosts of Antifa, supposedly, according to IGN, because of course they are, is saying that it's being praised in Japan for how quintessentially Hokkaido it actually feels. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. Now, listen, guys, before we start this video, there's a couple of things that I want to notate. The reason why they are trying to prop up Ghosts of Antifa as being something that is loved by Japan is because they know that the Famitsu numbers is going to reveal literally everything about this game, this sequel, and how it cannot compare to Ghosts of Tsushima. That even though it might be selling decent for a game in general, it is not selling anywhere close to what Ghosts of Tsushima did, especially in Japan. We are going to be getting the Famitsu numbers very soon. Right now, this week's Famitsu numbers has just dropped, with Silent Hill F being at the top with 57,475 physical copies being sold in Japan. If you guys don't remember, I will remind you, Ghost of Tsushima broke records in Japan for PlayStation, literal records. It got the best launch for a first-party PS4 game in launch week. How much did it sell? It sold 221,915 physical copies in its first week in Japan, comfortably surpassing the record that was previously held by Hideo Kojima himself with Death Stranding. Keep that in mind. Death Stranding, a game made by Hideo Kojima, who is notoriously loved in Japan, sold 185,909 copies in its launch week. Meanwhile, Ghost of Tsushima sold 221,000 copies in its launch week. That's massive, okay? So the reason why they want to get ahead of the curve with this particular story to try to make it seem as if Ghost of Antifa is loved in Japan is because they know that once these Famitsu numbers drop and it showcases Ghost of Antifa not being anywhere close to what Ghost of Tsushima did in its launch week, that's going to be true for everybody to see that this game, this sequel, even though it might be good to some people, and that's because it's basically a reskin Tsushima, so of course it's going to be good for some people, it is not going to be selling nowhere near as much as the first, proving that the franchise is actually falling off compared to the first game that everybody loved. And why is that important? Well, it's because they spent how many months, almost a year, gaslighting people, trying to tell people that, oh, Jinsekai's story, that's done. Nobody cares about that. Now it's Atsu's time. Everybody loves Atsu. Everybody can't wait to play as Atsu. You got every single shill account on X talking about everything else. Talking about graphics except for anything else. They don't want to talk about the story, barely. They don't want to talk about the gameplay unless it has to do with mini games and cooking. Cooking fish apparently is a big deal now, where you use your controller to spin the fish. I mean, okay, I suppose, but other than that, they're not talking about anything, right? Except for graphics and cooking and mini games. So let's go over this article talking about Ghosts of Antifa being praised in Japan for how quintessentially Hokkaido it feels. So it says, released in October, Ghosts of Antifa is quickly garnering praise from Japanese gamers. Yeah, quickly garnering praise. What is it, like 2 or 3 tweets? I bet. How much you want to bet this article is going to reference like 2 or 3 tweets, and they're going to say all Japanese gamers are loving this thing? Bro, come on, man. Anyway, quickly garnering praise from Japanese gamers who are busy exploring Sucker Punch's depiction of the 1600s Japan. Its choice of setting, picturesque scenery, and expansive map seem to be resonating with local residents, with the developers receiving plaudits for the detailed research and sense of style. Sucker Punch, standalone sequel to 2020's award-winning Ghost of Tsushima, moves the action to Izo on Japan's northernmost main island of Hokkaido. You play as Atsu, a warrior on a quest to take vengeance. Okay, you basically play as Naue, let's be real. You play as Naue from Assassin's Creed Shadows, seeking vengeance because I'm Iga, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, so in a follow-up post, they added that the developer's decision to choose Mount Yotei instead of Hokkaido's highest mountain, Daisetsuzan, makes so much sense as a person born and raised in Hokkaido. Mount Yotei isn't part of a mountain range. It stands alone, and that's what gives it its wow factor. The view from the mountain in game is also getting some love for being extremely beautiful, with one user sharing screenshots. Now, obviously, if you look at these pictures here, this is from a account that may or may not be Japanese at this point. We really don't know. Right now, we have 1 or 2 posts so far, I guess. This is 2. Apparently, The first post is not found, so I guess the person must have deleted it or something. I don't really know. But you have this second post here showing screenshots, which, by the way, look almost identical to Ghost of Tsushima. So there's that. Sharing an in-game screenshot featuring Mount Yotei. Another user commented, if I live in Izo, but Ghost of Yotei is way more quintessentially Hokkaido than I could have imagined, LOL. Whether it is to scale or not, the fact that the entire map is Hokkaido is deeply moving. Now, I wonder how they translated this. I guess they must have used the X translation feature, most likely. As a side note, map software company Zenrin got into the Ghost of Yotei spirit by sharing a real-life map of Izo on its official X account to mark the game's release. So this is about 4 posts so far. 4 posts. If you count the first one that got deleted, it's 3 posts, but now we're about to be at 4 posts. Although Atsu's story is serious, like in Ghost of Tsushima, the game also gives the player plenty of opportunities to explore the beautiful landscapes, relax in hot springs, and interact with local fauna, such as foxes. Many Japanese comments point out how cute these animals and their movements are, such as the fox's butt wiggle reaction to your attempts to slice through bamboo. Bro, I don't understand. Like, what is it with Ghost of Antifa, and all they're talking about is the graphics and the mini games. That's all they're talking about, bro. When you go on X, they're showcasing the fucking graphics, the screenshots. They're showcasing the goddamn bamboo slicing game as if this is the first game you've ever been able to slice bamboo in. I mean, did you not look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and the way that game was marketed? All they talked about was the bamboo slicing. You're a little bit late to the curve. Not only that, they're doing the cooking mini game where you're using the PS5 controller to like flip fish or something like that, and they're trying to pretend like this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, what about the story of the game, bro? Oh, I know why they're not talking about the story of the game, because apparently it has a Last of Us 2 ending. If you guys know exactly what I mean by that, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about without spoiling it for anybody watching this video. But the game has a Last of Us 2 ending, which, by the way, IGN openly complained about every game from PlayStation having the same exact story. They even complained about it, ironically. How hilarious is that? Anyway, so let's scroll down. Again, a graphical post. Why am I not surprised? If it says, however, as cute as these animals might be, one user warned the players that petting foxes like Atsu can do is not a good idea in real life. As although it wasn't an issue in the 1600s, the foxes in Hokkaido nowadays carry the parasitic disease echinocosis, which can be passed to humans. Ghosts of Yotei's opening title movie, which follows Atsu riding through the landscape at speed, also gained much praise and shares, with one Japanese language comment going so far as to say, as expected, this game's opening movie has surpassed all others. Talking about the opening, another commenter added, you're galloping up the hill and then boom, Mount Yotei appears at its most beautiful. I take my hat off to the staff of Sucker Punch for their good taste and successful research. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. This whole comment seems highly suspicious. This whole thing seems like too good to be true. Am I going crazy for thinking that? How it just seems like everything is perfectly aligned and saying just the right things to try to convince everybody that Japan is loving this game in every sense of the word. I don't know. It's like they don't realize that when they fake it, it's so obviously fake. They don't understand how to be good at it. They really suck at it, to be honest with you. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. Others praise translation and voice acting aspects, saying that Ghosts of Antifa has a perfect localization for Japan. Yeah, this game is highly AstroTurf, like to the maximum. During the making of Ghosts of Antifa, the developers took many research trips to Japan. Director Nate Fox previously talked about the team's commitment to creating a respectful representation of Japan to match Sucker Punch's previous work on Ghosts of Tsushima. In fact, Fox and Jason Connell were made permanent tourism ambassadors to the real-life Tsushima in recognition of how Ghosts of Tsushima has spread awareness of the place. Listen, man, what I'm going to say is I just want to see those Famitsu numbers. That's all I want to do. I want to see the Famitsu numbers because that's going to tell me how Japan is actually reacting to this game. All right. Ghost of Tsushima did 221,000 physical copies in its first week at launch in Japan as a brand new IP. That means that if this game was highly loved in Japan, which it was because it beat Death Stranding of all games, which is a Hideo Kojima game, that tells me that this game should do gangbusters in Japan. That's what that tells me. Ghosts of Antifa should do well over 200,000 copies physical in Japan. If it does not, that is going to tell me the true story of what people think about this game overall. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Ghosts of Antifa? Whether or not this game is actually loved by Japan or not. Are you in Japan watching this video right now? And do you think that people love this game? Do you love this game? Do you not love this game? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.